Okay, we are live. Guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Think Big podcast. If you're watching this live, let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. We're just going to get the Instagram live up and going. All right, looks like we are live on IG. And today is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. We're going to be doing a little bit of a Talk Shop Tuesday. Talk Shop Tuesday means I want to come in and just share some things that have been on my mind. I think I've been having a little bit more on my mind recently as a result of life happening. What's up, Tribes of Visionaries out in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina? But yeah, how do I put this? Okay, so it's hard. I don't have a poker face, right? Recently, I had someone had passed away. What's up, Jason? Someone had passed away. A childhood friend of mine passed away last week, and same age as me. I've known him since the first grade. And with that, it just put back into perspective how quickly life comes and goes. And I was finding myself I've been reflecting over the last week on everything, my entrepreneurial journey, my personal life, things of that nature. And then on top of that, this morning, I was listening to a YouTube video from Layla Harmozy. Caroline had sent it over to us, and she was talking about how to achieve goals. And it was interesting. In it, she talked about so many times people set a goal, we focus on the outcome, we focus on the result that we want to achieve, but we don't focus on the inputs that need to happen on a day to day. And I look back because I've been reflecting recently on how I was able to do certain things in my life that I'm, let's call it, proud of, right? Between business, between money that I've made, properties I've purchased, all the things that people think are really cool, that it's just a thing. The running, all these things are awesome and they're fun. But ultimately, what allowed me to accomplish them was focusing on the inputs. And I'm going to use my real estate business for a second, because when I got started in real estate, I wanted to make money. I got started in real estate because ultimately my goal was I need to make money. I want to make money. I'm not earning enough money. I'm living at home with my mom. I'm broke. I'm working several jobs. I'm realizing that this can't be all. I was in a relationship. I'm looking at the woman I'm dating. She had two kids, and I'm just like, holy moly, life is expensive. Like, being an adult, adulting is hard. And Anthony, what's interesting is when I got into the real estate, I saw that as an opportunity to get to where I wanted to go. And yeah, like I wanted to be successful so damn bad that I remember when I got started, I was willing to do anything. I was staying up late watching the videos. I was going out making the phone calls. I was writing handwritten letters. I was driving to the county clerk to go and sit down at the computer. They had a computer where you can go and pull probate records. So I'm pulling probate records. I'm sending emails. Like, I'm skip tracing properties. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing everything. And there were just all these inputs that I was constantly putting in every single day. Every day I'm waking up and just hitting the phones, hitting the doors, hitting the street, hitting the computers, sending the emails, skip tracing more properties, pulling more data, just input, 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 input. And what's funny is I can tell you guys now, like, being 5.5, 6 years into the future, I don't really remember all the inputs that I put in. I don't remember every last phone call I've ever made. I don't remember every last uh piece of data I've downloaded. I don't remember every property I skip traced. I don't remember every door I knocked. I don't remember every conversation I've had, every email that, like Sam says, I wasn't making excuses. I was just going after it. I don't remember all those things. And it's funny because I do remember being in the moment of those things, how it felt like this season would never end. It felt like the finish line would never come. It felt like the goal was so far away. And yet here I am today living in the let's call it the fruits of those labors. And I'm like, man, like, I'm grateful I did it all. I wish I could have done it faster. I wish, in fact, I realized I could have withstood more. I could have done more. And so this is ultimately, when you're looking at the results you want to create, understand it's a game, or it's an equation of inputs being greater than outputs. It's important to know the output you want to create. This is critical. You need to sit down and I want you to make a note of it today. In fact, if you haven't done so in a long time, write it down. Actually, pull out a piece of paper, get paper, pen and paper, and sit down and think about what's the output you want to create. Whether it's you want to earn money, awesome. If someone comes to me and they said, I want to earn money, I'm going to ask them, how much money do you want to earn? In what time frame do you want to earn it? How would you like to go about earning it? And I'm looking to narrow everything down. I want you to be able to narrow it down and say, well, look, I'm looking to earn $30,000 a month. I want to earn $30,000 a month in the realm of wholesaling real estate. In the realm of wholesaling real estate, the sort of properties I want to target are properties that are tax delinquent, properties that are in pre foreclosure. Inside of that area, I want to focus in just this particular part of the continental United States. I want to be zoned in, right? We want to start narrowing and narrowing and narrowing. And so you get crystal clear on the goal, you get crystal clear on the outcome that you're wanting to create. And then you ask yourself, okay, well, what inputs, right? We're going to think about it from the standpoint of what inputs would I need in order to make that outcome potentially inevitable? What sort of inputs would I need to put in that would make the outcome inevitable? Very much like a farmer. If a farmer said, "Look, next year I want to have a harvest of 100 tons of corn," then we know the input that the farmer needs is the input needs to be planting corn seeds, right? It's pretty straightforward. And for some odd reason, we understand this in a physical sense. We understand this when it comes to farmland. We understand it when it comes to if I want to get a six pack, the inputs I need is I need to be doing a certain amount of sit-ups every single day. I need to be watching my macros. I need to consume a certain amount of protein, reduce the amount of carbs, get a certain amount of cardio, get the workouts in. I'm able to understand those inputs and it makes sense. But for some odd reason, when we start to think about the goals we want to accomplish, whether it's professional, whether it's personal, whether it's financial, whether it's spiritual, for some odd reason, when we get emotionally attached to our goals, we almost throw the input side out the window. And we think just because we want it bad enough, it should come to us without our involvement, without us doing anything. That's not how it works. The way it works is universe, God, he will grow your tree for you, but you need to plant the seeds and tend to the garden. What are your seeds and what is your garden? That's the input. And so, again, as I was looking back and just reflecting on my own personal journey, and again, guys, hang out. This is Talk Shop Tuesday. I'm giving you some background. I love it. Sam Singh says it always starts with clarity. When I look back for me during that early season, because there's always inputs, and your inputs will change as your output, as your desired outcome changes. For me, in that early season, 2019, I'm getting into real estate and I'm realizing I just want to get my first wholesale deal. That was all I could put my mind around. I didn't have money, didn't know how to raise capital. I wasn't trying to buy a rental yet. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. I just understood I want to be able to make some money. Input. I've got to make cold calls. I've got to talk to people. The input I need is I need conversations with motivated sellers. How do I get conversations with motivated sellers? I pick up the phone and I dial. How do you get conversations with motivated sellers? You pick up the phone and you start dialing. Right now, if in your business you haven't been hitting the numbers, you haven't been earning what you want to earn, there's a good chance that your inputs are just not dialed in right now. You're missing the input. So I want y'all to really sit down and dial that in. Um, Guys, what we're gonna do tonight is I mentioned it's gonna be a short episode tonight because frankly, my head's not really focused on this podcast today. I know, but I still wanted to show up anyway because again, these are the inputs for myself personally, where I'm looking at the output that I want to create in my own life, which is I am someone who's consistent. I'm someone who's disciplined. I'm someone who follows through and does what he says and does what he will do. And so part of that is showing up every single week for these podcasts, whether or not I personally feel like being there or not. And so tonight we are going to wrap it up early though, because I said so. So, guys, I appreciate y'all for being here tonight. Um, Anthony, just to answer that question, Anthony said in the beginning, did I bird dog at all? Anthony, I not really. No, I didn't bird dog, but what I did do was I was committed to getting better. So just quick backstory. For me, when I got into real estate, it took me about 8 months before I got my first deal. And what happened was I was doing everything. I'm making the calls, I'm sending out the mail, I was doing all the things. But eventually I realized if I want to make money, I have to get better at talking to people. I got to make more calls. I need to have more conversations. And so I was making calls, and there was a buddy of mine who every now and then he was an investor who had about 2.5 years of experience over me. He was an older guy, nice guy, like not that much older, like maybe like 15 years older than me. And he would check in on me once a month just to see how I'm doing, how I'm progressing. Like just he was like almost like an accountability partner. And as I would share with him what I was learning, hey, I learned this. Hey, I had these experiences. Hey, I had the conversations. I didn't get a deal yet, but I'm getting further. I'm progressing. He suggested that I come into his market and do wholesaling in the Midwest. As a result, I was like, okay, it took him some time of like convincing me. I don't think I went up there till maybe the third or fourth conversation. And when I went up there, he was already the number one SEO in the area. So if you Googled sell my house fast, his website and his company popped up with their phone number and people would submit leads. And so what I actually did was I told him, I was like, if you ever get leads that come into your system that you and your team aren't able to close, send them over to me. So basically give me your dead leads that you guys couldn't close. And if I could revive them, I would turn them on and I would just come and wholesale them back directly to you, but you would get first right of refusal. I wouldn't take your deals. I wouldn't take the leads to anyone else. But I wasn't necessarily bird dogging. All right. I was still wholesaling. I was just sourcing my leads. I was lead generating from his marketing. So that's something that as after I got proof of concept there, I actually dialed that in pretty well. And that was one of my sources of leads was getting other people's leads sent into my system. So I hope that answers the question, Anthony. But guys, I'm gonna bounce out of here today, and we'll be back next week for a full entire episode. It'll be I'll give you guys some more heads up on what we're gonna be doing next week. But appreciate you guys for always showing up, and